And then in about 1990, I read the work of Zecharia Sitchin, The 12th Planet. And suddenly I could see, this makes sense. This is scientifically valid because it verified everything I was believing up to that point, but I had no mechanism to explain how we got here. And suddenly I had a mechanism, genetic engineering. Mm-hmm. Wow, could have knocked me over with a feather. Of course it made sense. And when you got to know certain aspects of the human genome, you see that it can't be anything but that. All other primates on Earth, that's chimps, gorillas, right on down, all higher primates, I might have said all primates, all higher primates have 48 chromosomes. Humans, who ostensibly descend from a common ancestor with chimps 5 to 8 million years ago, we have 46. So what happened to a whole chromosome from each parent, 2 whole chromosomes per human? That's an awful lot, when in fact the difference between us and chimps is about 3% in our total genome and about 5% with gorillas. Could be even 2% with chimps. You get different numbers all the time. But the point is, we have all the same chromosomal material, but we don't have the same number of genomic material, but we don't have the same number of chromosomes. So how could that be? Well, it could be because 2 of our chromosomes, the second and third, have been fused together. Fused. Now, science says, well, nature can do that. Of course, their answer always is nature can do anything. When you box scientists into a corner and anything that they can't explain, well, nature can do anything. Just like when you do that to religionists, and you're right. I mean, absolutely, I agree with you 100%, Jordan. Science has become a religion. It's absolutely no different than the religious dominance of thinking 500 years ago, where 500 years ago they would do anything to shut up dissent. And their method was to just burn you at the stake. Can't do it now. You and I would be gone long. We'd be ashes a long time ago. They could still do that.
No doubt about it.
So what they have to do is they have to minimize your impact by ridicule and by ignoring and all of the things that mainstream science does when somebody comes up with something they don't want to hear and they don't want to deal with. But nonetheless, those 2 chromosomes in humans are fused, the second and third. And they're fused in such a way that they magically still work. You have to understand how a chromosome is built. On the ends of each one, there are things called telomeres. And in the middle of each one, there are things called centromeres. And the centromeres are what attach to each other when chromosomes begin to split and make another chromosome, another copy of itself, which is going on all the time. And the telomeres are the endpoints. Now, to fuse 2 chromosomes together, the second and the third, you've got to have the telomeres of the end of one on number 2 and the end of one of the ends on number 3 has got to be removed. You can't have the stop points still in there. There has to be the chromosomes have to still flow one to another. They have to be able to communicate. They can't have the telomeres in there. Somebody's got to slice off those telomeres. And then once you fuse them back together, one of the centromeres has to be shut down. You can't have 2 centromeres working on one gene because it'll go absolutely nuts. It'll create a spider web. So guess what? That's exactly what humans have.
We've heard so many stories about, how these extraterrestrials look like humans.
The reptilians.
The reptilians or whatever. But the whole idea, I'm asking Lloyd, do you think that there's something to this idea that maybe the human race is being run at the very top by some of these entities who actually, in fact, were part of the creators of who we are?
I don't know. I can't say. I can't swear to it. But it's not impossible. Why would they, if people say, why did they leave? And Sitchin would always say, who says they did? When you're going to create a slave and a servant, the one thing you don't want is for it to be as smart as you, as strong as you. You want it to be inferior in every way you can structure that being. Yeah, and if you're going to make one and you're going to sit down and you're going to blueprint it out, these are some of the things that it had to have. We want them to look like us in our image after our likeness. We want to be able to have sex with the females because there's 600 of us here and most of us are men, and you got problems when you have males, hardship duty, middle of nowhere, got to have some girls. And then you want them to be able to take instructions, do the work, but you don't want them to collectively ever be able to gang up on you, physically or mentally.
That's
And that's
interesting.
how we came out. And that's how we are to this day. And you can tell that. You can tell the kind of brains we carry in our heads because of the incredible abilities of savants, where there's
Yes.
some
Yes.
damage to the curtain or the wall or the genetic padlock that they put on the majority of our brain from usage. Now, science says, oh, but we use all parts of our brain. It's been shown we've been use our parts of our brain. That thing about the 10%, that's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. Being able to use all parts of it and being able to have maximum efficiency are two very, very different things. We don't have maximum efficiency by a long shot. Some savants get incredible, some small part of their brains. But you add the 100+ savants that have been studied together, and you find those 100 different parts. If you were to just activate those 100 different parts in all of us, what would you have?
Yeah.
And then imagine a whole brain full like that of just those thousands of those abilities maximized. And I think that's what an Anunnaki brain is like.
Wow.
And we could have that one day when we get smart enough with genetics to make sure that that doesn't happen. You know, to us, we learn how to be as smart as they were. Why not?